Hey, hold on. I don't know if you can hear me. Hold on. I take the Bluetooth off. Yeah. That's now. I got this Bluetooth here, so let me take this out. Um, I learned a lot. Um, I learned a lot over the past few years of my life, and I thought for a while, I actually thought that I thought I had it all wrong, and I realize now that God knows what He's doing, and I'm here looking at a lot of the photos and the videos that I shot when I went traveling. And I was riding tonight. I'm back at work. I was riding around. Thank God, by the way. Shout out to the people at CCRP in Santo Domingo. I appreciate you guys saving my eye. I really appreciate it. It's a little loud here. I'm making a delivery, but I passed the DOT physical and I'm working again, which is really good, right? I'm happy about it. I am. And like coming back to work, I actually feel much more like myself again. I really do. I feel much more like myself. So when I had all this time off, I realized that, like, as I was going through the process, I felt like everything was wrong. Like my life was in chaos. Everything was a mistake. Why weren't things going the way I wanted them to go? And after it all came to a close and I made it back to work, I'm very happy that I did. I realized that God gave me the experience, He gave me a chance to really explore who I am, where I'm from, where I am when I'm traveling and seeing different people, going to different places. But mostly I realized that I am who I am. And, a lot of people may feel that uh, their lives are right now, but, your life isn't just your day-to-day activities. It's about who you are and how you want to spend your time here in this world. What do you choose to do? So you don't have to be of a certain status or a certain background to live your life and be the person that you want to be, or pursue the goals that you want to pursue with your time in the world. Let me put this out. You can do what you feel is right to you, but you have to understand, when you decide to pursue your passion, what you want to do, okay, when you figure out what you want to do, it doesn't matter when you figure it out. You have to understand there's going to be a ton of people who don't like you. There's going to be people who are going to come up against you, because that's just the way the world is. That's how it is. But you got to ignore all that. So I had the opportunity, or God was giving me the opportunity, and I didn't realize, to explore who I am and who I am not, and to become comfortable in my own skin. Again, like you are when you're younger. When you're a younger person, you don't think about these societal pressures and my job and what will other people think, when you're like a kid, 7, 8 years old, right? So now that I'm back, it all makes sense. And I'm very thankful I had the opportunity to do it, and I'm looking over some of the work that I put together, while I was out there. And I really had a chance to reconnect with like who I am as a person. It's easy to get really caught up in the corporate society of America. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying, like, it's easy to lose yourself, like who you are. Who are you? And I was so focused on like this goal I had in my head of how like things should have worked out, how it should work out, how it should be. And I realized when it ended, I said, well, it didn't work out the way I wanted it to work out. What happened? And I'm like, it wasn't supposed to work out. That's not what life's about. You know how life works out. It ends. That's how it works out. The question is what are you going to actively choose to do in the time from the beginning to the end? That's what it's about. And it starts with you being yourself, your true, authentic self. Nobody is going to like you. You're not going to like you if you're lying to yourself about who you are, what you're about, what you want to do with your life, what's your goal, what are you trying to put out into the world, you know? So, like, it's almost like I had a chance to grow up another time, like, again, like another level. It really is. And I'm thankful for all the people who helped me out along the way, the people who backstabbed me along the way, too. You know, having a little bit of discernment about who you want to have in your life, who you don't want to have in your life, who's aligned with what your goals and what you're trying to accomplish. You know, life is about growth. And, you know, for those of us who are fortunate enough to make it to certain ages, you know, you continue to grow. You know, a lot of us, or I don't want to say a lot of us, I'm speaking to a lot of people because we all go through the same thing, especially us here in America, but you never really reach a point in your life where you're like, oh, well, I'm 44, that's it, my life's over. No, like there's more growth. You know what I mean? There's more growing up to do. And what happened to me was I just realized at the end of it that that was like a level up period of my life, a time for me to grow and really think about what kind of impact do I want to have in my life on the world. And it doesn't matter how big small it is. It's like you have to choose what you want to do with your time. You do. Nobody else, just you. And you have to be ready to accept the flack and the backlash and things that people might say to you. Friends you might lose, loved ones you might lose, friends you might gain, loved ones you might gain from you just accepting, like, hey, I'm Dexter from New York. And like, that's never going to change. That's who I am. I am who I am. I'm not like anybody else. I'm not trying to fit in anymore. This is me. And you're the same way. Whoever's watching this and liking my videos right now, I appreciate you. I do. But I mean, like, that's what it is. And like, this whole process was me accepting that, like, hey, look, I am who I am. Don't worry about how many other views the other guys got, or what other everyone else is doing, or how much money they have. Or, that's not important. It helps. It would be nice, sure. But if like you're not comfortable being you, then what's the point of your life? Why are you here? God made you the way that you are. Like you're not like everybody else. You're you. And like I had to accept that. I had to look in the mirror and accept that and be like, look, this is who I am. Why are you hiding it? Just be yourself. There's always going to be someone who doesn't like you. There's always going to be someone who thinks you're great. But if you don't think you're great, if you don't believe in yourself, then what's the point? You know, God put you here for a reason. You're here for a reason. You have to make that reason shine. You have to emanate it out in the world. But if you're masking yourself, you know, trying to be this acceptable version, you know, that the world wants you to be, then what's the point? You know, everybody's different. You're different. I'm different. But if you're different, you're not making any impact on anybody, you know. So it's okay to be who you are and sing the songs that you sing and listen to the music that you listen to and talk the way that you talk and dress the way that you dress and go where you go. And don't worry about what people think about it, because your mission isn't my mission. And I think all of us should have some time free to ourselves to really understand, you know, who we are and reassess our goals as people, you know, because it did wonders for me. It really did. Like it really knocked me out of my shell. And now I think about my day-to-day life and I'm so much happier now. I really am. Like the things that I didn't used to enjoy and take for granted, I really like put emphasis on that now. And I'm like, wow, like, why do you hide that about yourself? It's okay to be you, because that's the only person you can be. You know, hold on, this truck's coming by. Hold on. For those of you who are still watching, you know, I haven't stopped smoking. I haven't stopped. I find it quite enjoyable now, and I really should stop. But for the time being, I'm still smoking. When I came over here today, I was singing. You know, I was listening to Buddy Guy and John Fogerty. I listened to D.O.D. And I was just singing. You know, songs that I like to sing, songs that I like to listen to. And I didn't have any regrets about it. I didn't feel any way about it like I used to in the past. I don't feel like I need to marginalize myself now to fit into some box. And you shouldn't either. You really shouldn't. Be yourself. And some of you might have learned this lesson when you were a lot younger. Some of you might have picked this up when you were younger. Your freedom of expression. I lost it along the way. When I was younger, I used to rap. I used to take acting classes. I used to sing. I was in bands. I used to play musical instruments, you know. And I'm not saying I can't do that now. What I'm saying is I lost a lot of that along the way, you know, along the way. And losing yourself is what makes you like spiritually dead. You know what I mean? It's important that you continue to cultivate the person that you are, whether you're at work, whether you're at a career for 30 years, you're working on a pension, whatever it is. You shouldn't stop cultivating yourself as a person and your goals and what you want to decide, hey, this is the mark I'm going to leave on this world. You know what I mean? And it was just a really good experience. In terms of relationships, money management, creativity, you know, just accepting myself for who I am. Not being afraid to put yourself out there, not being embarrassed about it. So many things that happened to me during that time period with family and friends and loved ones and jobs and health. Even now, like I'm still, you know, figuring out who do I want to build myself up to be going forward. Because there is no past in life. There's no reverse in life. There's only forward. And I had a lot of time to realize and look at how people perceive me and then, you know, put that up against, you know, juxtaposed to how I view myself. And really just understanding that, like, that person that you are when you're by yourself alone is who you are. And it's better to just present it to the world. And when you do, you'll become more aligned with your path and the goals that you have in your life. But I'm really glad that I got to come back to work because, like, I was in a space where I really kind of lost sight of a lot of things. I really had. And now I feel like I can properly assess who I am as a person, my career, where I want to go, things I want to do, goals that I have set up for the future if I have time to make it that far in the world, you know, Lord willing. And I see the world the way that I used to see it when I was younger. It's a wonderful place. It's your oyster. You can make it however you want it to be. But you gotta kill that societal pressure that you have to be a certain way. You can only be you. And it's always going to be like that. And I was someone who would bend a lot trying to fit into somebody else's perception of who I should be. And you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that at all. You definitely shouldn't. Because it's just going to kill you on the inside, like spiritually. And that's why I'm here smoking a cigarette now. Because I realized that this is something that I'm going through in my life right now. I'm back driving trucks. I'm happy about that. I had a lot of failures. I also had a lot of successes. Something that happened in my life that was unexpected. I was thinking about why did that happen instead of just like keep pushing forward and just like, hey, God knows what he's doing. And he does. I ended up having an experience that I never would have had if those bad things never happened to me. And I'm so happy that I got to do that stuff. I really am. I feel so much better about it now. God was pushing me into something different. And God, works like that. That's how he works. He puts you through stuff to mold you and to like get you to see what you can overcome, how strong you are, things you need to work on. Because I have things I need to work on too. We all do. But that's why you go through those experiences, is so that you can understand who you are and who you aren't. And then you can line that up with who you want to be and where you are. And now that I've gone through that process, I feel so much better about my life. I do. And it was something that I needed. It was. And I want all of you who do watch my videos, and I appreciate you, those of you who do, to not worry about the things that people do or go on in the background, because there's always going to be people who don't agree with who you are. But I agree with who I am. And that's what God wanted me to learn. So I realized that on the outside, a lot of people perceive me to be a certain way. And that's fine. I don't care. That's fine. I am who I am in my own weird, strange, way. That's who I am. I like the music that I like. I like to dance the way that I dance. I like to work the way that I work. I have my own ideas and I want to do things the way that I want to do them. I'm not talking about breaking the law. I'm not talking about going out there and being crazy. No. I'm talking about accepting like who I am as a person. Creatively. Ideas that you have, they're not crazy. You just got to formulate them in a way that maybe other people will understand better. When I was driving over here, I was thinking about how like now there's like a certain way that everyone's supposed to be. And I agree with that. I mean, I agree with that to an extent. But I think people should really explore like who they really are. In today's society, it's difficult because a lot is about money and finance and growing financially and focusing on your career, which is very important. And a lot of us, I think, get lost in that and we lose who we are. Things that we should do, things that feel right to your soul and your spirit. And I know a lot of people think, they say, oh, Dexter's a dark person. And, some people might feel like I'm a quitter or things like that. And that's fine. That's good, because that's the perception that you have of me. I'm not concerned about that, though. And you shouldn't be concerned about that either. You should be concerned about what is right to you, because it's your life. And anybody who's in this world, this is what I believe, anyone has a gift inside of them. There's a reason that they're here. There's something that they're supposed to share. There's something that they're supposed to express. And you can't hide that, because if you hide it, you're not fulfilling your purpose of being here. You start at point A and it ends at point B, which is your death. A is when you're born, B is when you die. So don't pull the wool over your own eyes and be like, hey, I'm going to be this person that I think people will like and accept. That's crazy. Be yourself. Be the best version of yourself. And it doesn't matter where you are or what your position is in life. It really doesn't. It all starts with you being your authentic. But when you become that person, you will start to grow. Because that's aligned with who you are, not with who, Joe, John, and Paul accept you to be or want you to be. It's all about you accepting you first. Saying, this is the way that I am. There's things that I do that people don't like. I can't change that. I can't change the way I look. I can't change where I'm from. I can't change the way I grew up. My father died when I was very young. I can't change that. That's part of my life. That's part of my journey, my experience. And your experience is the same. But I am happy that I'm back at work. I am. I'm very happy that I'm back at work. For a while, I thought, when I had the vitrectomy, when I started going blind in my right eye, and then I went for the surgery, I thought that was it. I thought that I wasn't going to be able to drive again. And I didn't really know how my life was going to be different afterward, in general, because I didn't know if my eye was going to get better. It's actually healing up. It's getting a lot better. And then I had laser surgery done in my left eye because I had macular degeneration is what it's called. And I went for an eye exam in 2023, and I had a DOT physical in 2024. And one of the physicians had told me when I was at Crete that, I had high eye pressure. So I took some time off. And sure enough, I started to lose the vision in my right eye. Never thought it would happen. Getting old. I never thought I would get older. And now that I made it back, I realized, like, oh, God knows what he's doing. He has a plan for everything. You know what I mean? That the eye surgery sat me down for a little bit longer than I wanted to be out of work, but there was a purpose behind it. There was a purpose. And it gave me some time to really analyze, like, who I am and who I was and how I wasn't really aligned with, God's purpose for my life. And I know I'm saying that now, you guys see me smoking cigarettes in the truck, you're like, what's this guy talking about? But I'm like, God's always molding you. You're never a finished product. You're always, like, making it to the next level, moving forward, leveling up, hopefully not leveling down. And for a while I was leveling down, I was. And now I realize that I have a second opportunity to build my life up. I really do. And I'm looking forward to it. And I realize now that nothing was a mistake. Everything happened the way it was supposed to happen. A lot of times I would look at my life as like, hey, what can I do to fix that? Why did that happen? Why did that work out that way? And like now I'm like, no, that's how God wanted it to work out. It was supposed to go that way. It was supposed to be that way. And you just keep moving forward, and you just trust that, like, God knows what he's doing, because he does. He does. And sometimes you got to go to this one path to come to that realization, but that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. And, I hope all of you have the opportunity to come to that realization of who you are and become your true self. And when you become your true self, it's a process again, because now you have to work on taking yourself from where you are to making yourself the best version of yourself. But now I'm doing it from a foundation of like, hey, I'm going to do it as me. Not this pretend version that, you wanted people to see you as so that you're more acceptable in their eyes. I'm more concerned about being acceptable in my eyes, and you should be too. And that's what God wants you to do. And that's why God knows what he's doing. Because if you're not being you, you're not on your true path, God's going to mess some stuff up for you so that you have the time to get back to being you, the person that God made you. I'll see you guys later.